Thanks, Cliff. So we have Cliff from Dell to talk about another facet of open networking, specifically from the view of a particular project. So the way we had teed this up was Linux Foundation, obviously a larger community with multiple networking projects and even beyond networking, other software projects. And then Cliff's going to go over a particular software project, and then we have Delta, who will go over kind of the hardware view of this community.
Yeah, thanks very much. Just waiting for. Yeah, thanks very much. Just waiting for the PC to boot up. Little battery problem here. Sorry, just a couple more seconds here. Oh, there's one right here. Sorry, I just... Oh, no, it's good.
So while that's coming up, one of the things actually I wanted to riff a little bit on some of the discussions around harmonization, or what's the goal of some of the software projects, right? And this question actually came up pretty early on with OCP, right? When I remember we were, actually probably a number of us were sitting in one of the workshops 3 or 4 years ago, and somebody said, okay, should we have one way to interface, or should we have one way to do telemetry? Right? I think that was, should we have one way to do automation? And this was 3 or 4 years ago, and I said, at the time I think I said, you know what, we're going to start from the bottoms up, and then what we're going to find is multiple projects may come into being, and actually multiple projects have already come into being and closed from the OCP perspective, but we'll see how they get adopted, how they evolve, and if 2 alternatives evolve and have sustainable communities, then great, we'll have Emacs and VI, and that's fine, right? Because again, I'm expecting if there's enough vibrancy here with a lot of the different software projects, there probably are going to be multiple approaches, especially as you move higher up the stack. And what works for, say, telcos, or a certain type of telco may not work for a greenfield provider, may not work for cloud scale providers. So that was just my sort of take on that. All right.
Yeah, thanks very much. Actually, I think that's an excellent introduction. In fact, OCP is an excellent introduction to this talk. So this talk is about open networking and really the experience from a project that actually is working with really developing that community, really building it from the ground up. So when you look at the networking evolution, and again, I know everybody has seen this probably hundreds of thousands of times, but I'll go through it really, really quickly. Again, a long time ago, we started out with more of individuals or individual companies delivering solutions, and it was great. They were delivering solutions, but it wasn't quite fast enough, and it wasn't exactly what everybody wanted. And that's when, again, we started getting into open. And with regards to open networking, again, as Omar highlighted, when ONI came out, of course, that really enabled that hardware-software split. And I think that's a wonderful step in this open networking picture. Again, really a huge milestone. What we also see, though, is, again, just as Omar was highlighting during the keynote talk, there is a lot of work and a lot of collaboration that can be done even within software. So again, you see this as the SCI, ONL, lots of collaborations from different projects, again, in software. So again, that's where from an OpenSwitch perspective, we see it. We see, again, a lot of, hardware, software split, great, done. Now it's, well, how can we get more people working together to collaborate on solutions? And it's not necessarily the small stuff, again, the drivers and all this other good stuff is a great place to collaborate, but I think, again, when we want to move past that, we really got to move up to applications that people want to consume. So again, I think, again, this really leads well to what was being discussed earlier. A little bit about OpenSwitch, just for those of you that don't know about it. Again, OpenSwitch is a Linux Foundation project, but actually we have our roots in OCP. So we originally contributed our software into the Sonic project, of course, with Microsoft, and we're a strong supporter of that project as well. But again, we also contributed that same source base into Linux Foundation under the OpenSwitch project. Just a little bit of minutia about the project. So we have a number of players from different industries in this project. They all have different roles. And what we try to do is, again, a great example was this MSA talk earlier, is that instead of everybody working on the exact same software and having opinions on the exact same software, we all usually pick different roles in this community. So again, that's the team. We do have weekly calls. If anybody is interested in joining, please come. Lots of activity on the Rocket chat. We don't do as much email activity. It's just a lot of back and forth. Again, and we'll go through this really quick. I'm going to get to the meat of the discussion in a few seconds. Again, OpenSwitch, the development methodology is, hey, take advantage of standard Linux. Enable customers to be able to take supported like a supported software and be able to run it on the switch. So again, just like Omar said, if you try to install Linux on a switch, it won't work. But if you install the OpenSwitch packages, it will. The other thing that we do is we focus on collaboration. Again, trying to bring partners in on top of this nice open environment or open networking platform. And we really work hard to develop that community of applications. What you'll see later on in the slides, of course, is more people contributing. And again, I believe that we're getting a lot of success in this area. We expose differentiation of silicon, and of course, we work with the community. And we really think that, again, questions that come up repeatedly is, hey, is this supportable, or do you write supportable software? And again, as OCP is developing, that is a very important part. Again, we can't just drop software on people. Just like Arpid mentioned, again, you don't want random projects out there. You need something that really can be commercially used or used in commercial situations. As I said, I'm not going to go through this incredibly complicated picture, but again, you can see it from the video later on. So just a year in review, so hugely busy year. And again, just the reason why I flash up this picture, because again, this allows me to talk about that open networking part. So what you'll see here is hopefully a picture of collaboration. We've got hardware platforms coming into this picture. We have collaborations with NPU vendors. We have software deliveries from the Inmon folks, which really does a beautiful fabric view. Again, definitely recommend everybody go to our booth and take a look at some of the demos. But again, we have different partners, and they're all delivering different solutions into this project. So again, we don't have to worry about the small group of people supporting OpenSwitch. Of course, we have those people, but we're starting to get that bigger community of people developing supportable solutions. So if you take a look at it, just to Omar's point earlier, we actually have a supported routing vendor now on top of OpenSwitch. So again, so they have a very high quality paid routing stack. And again, it now is supported on top of OpenSwitch. So you can take your open source and get support on it too. Anyways, very interesting stuff. So again, now I'm just going to go through some of the collaborations, again, just really focusing on the open networking part. Again, one of them is Metaswitch. So Metaswitch was a company developing routing software. Probably many of you know them and love them already today. Again, what they did is they came in and they said, well, OpenSwitch is a platform. Sure, let me deliver my routing stack on top. So now you can, again, you have your open options of FRR, and you also have a nice supported stack as well. And again, oops, sorry, flipping through their slides here. Again, popular company, well-known. There, I just flashed through it there. The next one is Inmon. Inmon, creators of SFlow, they developed a beautiful fabric view application that you can see at the OpenSwitch booth again. Really wonderful. I definitely recommend you see it. We have some Broadcom integrations this time as well. So again, Broadcom came in, really worked with us to bring in their Broadview analytics, and that's what you'll also see at our booth again in another demo. And then there was more. So I couldn't do it. I only had 10 minutes, so I had to really compress it. But anyways, a lot of other engagements. Again, we work with the free-range routing folks, wonderful team, very, very smart. We worked with InnoCube. InnoCybe is working on a ODL integration into OpenSwitch. Cavium has shown their packet tracking. Anyways, lots of applications are running now on OpenSwitch, and they're all developed by the small team at OpenSwitch. They're developed by communities. So again, that's the important thing. Again, working together, we can achieve wonderful things, essentially. Anyways, thanks very much.
Any questions for Cliff? I had a question on one of the slides. You talked about the platforms, the hardware platforms, and I saw mention of an Edge Core 7512. I was wondering what, within the OpenSwitch community, are you reaching out to more of the OCP switches, right? Because most of it is Dell platforms on that platform slide. I think that, yes, most of them are Dell platforms right now. I see Edge Core listed there as of end of last year. What is your work toward more of the OCP switches?
OCP switches are extremely important. Again, I think what we also have to do is get in there early, because we do have some recommendations, especially with CPU and memory footprint and disk storage, because we've got a lot of experience now developing these open solutions. So again, that's a very important part of it. Actually, what you're going to see is more of a focus on ODM, bringing more ODMs in this year. So again, we've had DNI appear in the past. Again, OCP switches are very important for us. Again, expect to see more of that this year.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll take one more, or we'll take this one, and then we'll move on to the Delta presentation.
So I'm somewhat unfamiliar with this one. So how does this OpenSwitch initiative compare with ONL?
Oh, ONL it's a good question. Actually, they can be very synergetic. So ONL is the OS and driver layer. So if you take a look at the architecture here, we can, in fact, we have had many conversations about bringing ONL in underneath the OpenSwitch. Today, what we do is we use standard Debian Jessie. We don't recompile it. We don't touch it at all. It's, and again, a similar model to what ONL is. So again, we could take that, put that underneath, and then run our stuff on top of it. With regards to ONL, we have that, again, we have that PSI abstraction, which would be an addition and everything else. So again, I think it works really nicely into this diagram.
So we're going to move on, but I think that's actually part of the open discussion section. We have the lead of the Open Network Linux subgroup, Steve, is here as well, and so afterwards we encourage like this open discussion, right? It's with the panelists, but also with everyone in the room. So, thank you very much.